Hey, hello everyone. My name is Naoma. This is my amazing band. We're gonna sing a couple of original songs. I hope you enjoy them. Hoy te he pensado un poco, ya sabía la misma canción que te borré de pronto y no me deja escuchar tu voz. Hay mil cosas que tengo que decir, pero me quedo callada. No se puede pedir más de lo que hay, y yo no tengo mucho para darte. Tú pides más de lo que das de tu parte. Yo ya no tengo que mirar atrás. Tú me atas y yo me quiero soltar, y yo no tengo mucho para darte. Tú pides más de lo que das de tu parte. Yo ya no tengo que mirar atrás. Tú me atas y yo me quiero soltar. Y ya no digas más, digas más, digas más. No hay nada que decir. Nadie entiende tus lágrimas. Tú eres todo lo que hace mal. Y ya no digas más, digas más, digas más. No hay nada que decir. Nadie entiende tus lágrimas. Tú eres todo lo que hace mal, y yo no tengo mucho para darte. Tú pides más de lo que das de tu parte. Yo ya no tengo que mirar atrás. Tú me atas y yo me quiero soltar, y yo no tengo mucho para darte. Tú pides más de lo que das de tu parte. Yo ya no tengo que mirar atrás. Tú me atas y yo me quiero soltar. ¿Y qué me das? Pues solo un lamento. Tú siempre estás en lo cierto. No digas más, yo sé lo que quiero. ¿Y qué me das? Pues solo un lamento. Tú siempre estás en lo cierto. No digas más, yo sé lo que quiero. Hey, how y'all doing today? ¿Cómo están hoy? Hola, mucho gusto. Mi nombre es Naoma y esta es mi hermosa banda. No digas más, no digas más, no digas más, no digas más. Thank you. Muchas gracias. So, I'm gonna speak English for those who understand English, and Spanish for those who understand Spanish. So, I live in Denver, but I'm from Ecuador. I'm an Ecuadorian. So are these two amazing performers up here with me, musicians. And then we also have Levi on the drums. This next song is very special for me because I migrated here to the States 5 years ago to pursue my dream in music. So it talks about feeling homesick. Probably some of you understand that feeling of migrating, of leaving your hometown, your country. So yeah, this next song is called Himno. El sol salía en el sur, no nos dejó ciegos. La luz entró al ataúd, nos dejó miedo. Y he de encontrar una señal que me trajera de vuelta acá para empezar una senda nueva. Y volveré a cruzar las montañas y volveré a encontrar la mañana. Ay, no me digas que no te olvido. Oh, oh. Ay, no me digas que no te olvido. Oh, oh. Y volveré a cruzar las montañas y volveré a encontrar la mañana. Ay, no me digas que no te olvido. Oh, oh. Ay, no me digas que no te olvido. Oh, oh. Y si las flores espinas en el corazón, no me dejan ser quien soy. Si me dejas solo y me quitas todo, no me quejo, ay, 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 ay. Siento el canto y lloro, no se enamora de lejos, ay, 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 ay. Si me dejas solo, me quitas todo, no me quejo, ay, 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 ay. Siento el canto y lloro, no se enamora de lejos, ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. 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 All right, our next song is a cover, but I changed some of the lyrics in Spanish. So, yeah, if you know the song, sing with me. If you don't want to sing it, you can just enjoy it, be present in the moment. No me duele, quieres sentir lo que sentí, quieres saber, ver que ya no me duele. Do you wanna hear about the deal that I'm making? Do sé que nunca es tu intención. Sin querer, a ti también te hiere, atormentando el corazón. Y si hay algo más que solo este amor, dime si importamos, baby. And if I linger, I make a deal with God, and I gotta just swap our places. We running on that road, we running on that hill, we running on that building. If I linger, I make a deal with God, and I gotta just swap our places. We running on that road, we running on that hill, no problem. Oh, come on, baby, come on, darling. Let me steal this moment from you now. Oh, come on, angel, come on, darling. Let's exchange the experience. I'll be running up the when you're running out, when you're running out, when you're running out, when you're running up the hill, when you're running out, when you're running out, when you're running out, when you're running out, when you're running up the hill, when you're running out. Thank you so much. So this is our last song, and I was told to tell you to please make your way to your seats. For those who speak Spanish, por favor, tomar sus asientos. And yeah, this is our last song. My name is Neoma, and this is my beautiful band. We're very excited to be here, so thank you so much for having us. This is great. And yeah, our last song is a little bit dancey, so I'm so sorry I'm sending you all to your seats. But yeah, catch us next time. Again, my name is Neoma. Thank you. You got sad eyes when you gazed at me. I thought you looked like somebody I knew. Why are you still stuck where you cannot grow? But you still didn't wanna come with me. I can't believe you let me go. I try to keep my tears at bay. I can't believe you let me go. I try to keep my tears at bay. If you ever feel love, I've got no time to waste on you. I can easily find another. You won't change your mind, so why do I even bother? I can't believe you let me go. I try to keep my tears at bay. I can't believe you let me go. I try to keep my tears at bay. If you ever feel lost, remember I was there for you. It's not my fault, no my fault. If you ever feel lost, remember I was there for you. It's not my fault, no my fault, yeah. I can't believe you let me go. I try to keep my tears at bay. I can't believe you let me go. try to keep my tears out there. Woo! Thank you, everyone. Thank you again for having us here today. I hope you enjoy your meals. My name is Neoma. Have a great morning and afternoon. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program will begin. Señoras y señores, por favor tomen sus asientos. El programa comenzará. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program will begin. Señoras y señores, por favor tomen sus asientos. El programa comenzará.
The Biennial of the Americas launched around the transformational idea that the North-South axis is a valuable source of ideas and art. We bring together leaders from across the Western Hemisphere to share insights, innovations, and creativity, to inspire action on our most pressing challenges. The Biennial focuses on the things that connect us, our shared history and future, a deep appreciation of the rich cultures of the Americas, and the fundamental belief that we are stronger together. Colorado is uniquely positioned to be the home of the Biennial of the Americas. We are open-minded and outward-looking. We have a vital and growing hub of business, social, and cultural innovation. And our collaborative and trailblazing spirit is the perfect backdrop to foster a productive economic and cultural exchange across our hemisphere. When people from different cultures, backgrounds, and areas of expertise are given a platform to exchange ideas and learn from one another, the results can be transformative. Join us as we create connections, build community, and inspire change across the Americas.
Hola, bienvenidos. Bienvenidos. Benvindo, bienvenido. Bienvenidos a Denver, Colorado, a todas las dignatarios, participantes y visitantes a nuestra ciudad. Les damos un fuerte abrazo a venir a Denver, Colorado. Una ciudad que está llena, no solamente es bella, y el estado es muy hermoso, pero una ciudad que tiene muchas oportunidades para todos del mundo latinoamericano y también nuestros amigos canadienses. Porque hay traducción, voy a cambiar a inglés ahora, así que quería, la verdad, que saludarlos todos en su idioma propio. Welcome, everyone. I'm Maria Garcia-Berry. I'm founding partner of CRL Associates, a local governmental affairs consulting firm. But more importantly for this occasion, I am here with you as a board member of the Biennial of the Americas. It's an honor to welcome you to the first ever Americas Leadership Luncheon, which marks the official opening of the City Summit of the Americas. As an I actually can't believe we're finally here. It seems like a dream ago when we started talking about this in June 6th, I think it was, when the mayor found out that the president was going to name Denver as its city to host the summit. As an organization committed to promoting arts, idea, and exchange across the North-South axis, the Biennial of the Americas is proud to partner with the U.S. Department of State, the City and County of Denver, of course, and the state of Colorado to host this historic summit of mayors and civic leaders from across the Americas. The mission of the Biennial is to create connections, build community, and inspire change across the Americas. And this luncheon is a testament to that commitment. We are honored to have so many outstanding individuals, companies, and leaders from our community joining us today. They are the heart and soul of the city of Denver and the state of Colorado. And we appreciate their very warm welcome to the 250 mayors and over 2,000 leaders from across this hemisphere who have now traveled to Denver for this summit. So please give all of our delegates a great hand. Among the 600 people in this ballroom, we have over 60 mayors representing our region, including Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Peru, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Colombia, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Belize, and Trinidad and Tobago. And now, I am pleased to introduce to you the Mayor of Denver, Michael B. Hancock. Since taking office in 2011, Mayor Hancock has been a tireless advocate for the people of Denver, working to create an inclusive and sustainable city that works for everyone. Under his leadership, Denver has become a national model for innovation and progress, from expanding affordable housing to promoting sustainable transportation solutions. Mayor Hancock has also been a strong voice for social justice, championing initiatives to address issues of police reform and racial equity. We're honored to have him here today to share his insights and perspectives on the importance of collaboration and community building in the Americas. Also, if it wasn't for Mayor B. Hancock, we would not be hosting the City Summit of the Americas. So let's welcome Mayor Hancock.
Buenas tardes. Let me first say about Maria Garcia Berry as she walks off the stage. The moment Denver was named as the host of the City Summit of the Americas, she made a phone call to us and says, I'm going to be there to help make this happen. So would you all join with me in thanking all of the volunteers, all the partners who made today possible. I am so grateful to welcome you to Denver, Colorado, those of you who are from outside of our great city. We are honored to have you here to host the inaugural Cities Summit of the Americas, and proud to welcome delegates from across the Americas to our great city for these critical conversations. Now, I'm going to acknowledge some mayors in this room, but I also see some members of our city council, like the Honorable Amanda Sandoval, who is here as well. I'm going to ask all the Denver officials who have played a role in this, whether you are elected or not, to stand up and be acknowledged. Councilwoman, please stand up. Look at the team from Denver. Thank you. It is an honor to have so many prominent women mayors in particular here with us, mayors from all over the hemisphere. Yes, it's part of Summit. And I got a special shout out. She might be in the room. I saw her earlier this morning at one of the events. But I want to acknowledge the fact that a dear friend, the mayor of Bogota, Colombia, Mayor Lopez, Claudia Lopez, is here as well, one of the premier mayors of this region. And I just want to acknowledge her. We've had a chance. We met in LA, and then we ran into each other and did an event in Colombia together. And she's just a phenomenal force. And if you haven't met her or seen her, you're going to be blown away when you do. So just get ready. I got to tell you that since this morning, starting at 7 a.m., I have met mayors from around the region, or hemisphere, not only here in Colorado. Mayor Fort Collins is here. I see Mayor Millay here from Lone Tree. Yeah, she's here. But I've met mayors from Colombia, from DR, from Belize, from Trinidad, from Jamaica, from Brazil, from Australia, Mexico, Venezuela, Peru. Celebrate all of our mayors who are in town. And I want to thank President Biden and the Biden-Harris administration for selecting Denver to host. And I think it says something about Denver, or a region in the state of Colorado, that they unilaterally, single-handedly, unsolicited, selected Denver, Colorado to host this first ever. And we can't do this, we could not have done this without our partners and our sponsors, the State Department, Colorado Office of Economic Development, International Trade, and the Colorado Tourism Office, Liberty Global, Excel Energy, BP America, AT&T, Amazon, and all of the other sponsors and partners helped us to make this happen. You know, there's an old adage that if you want to get something done, call a mayor. And it's good to see so many mayors here this morning ready and willing to do the work. Strengthening democracy and public health, fostering clean energy transitions, meeting environmental challenges, increasing access to critical digital technologies, ensuring the safety and dignity of all migrants, and combating the spread and influence of disinformation. These are all issues where cities are leading the way. And throughout the week, I'm proud that our community will be the epicenter of those vital discussions and collaborations. Cities are where the work happens and where policies get implemented. So it's important that we elevate our voices in these discussions happening at our national levels. Collaboration and sharing best practices are also something mayors and cities do best. We steal from each other, we borrow ideas, because we do it all the time. And that is how we make real, actionable change in the lives of people we serve. The Biennial has been an integral partner in advancing those city-to-city connections across the hemispheres in the past decade, and I got to tell you, I couldn't be prouder that they call Denver home. We should pause, and we should thank the Biennial of Americas for their tremendous work under the leadership of Flora Jane, because without them, today and throughout the week would not be possible. Now look, we look forward to having these conversations with everyone, that we put cities at the forefront of the policies and goals that will drive respective countries forward. I also hope that while you're here, if you're from outside of Denver and Colorado, you get out, take the opportunity to explore our city, not only what makes Denver such a special place, but all the cultural events taking place during the summit, including the Cultural Warehouse. And with that, on behalf of the people of this city and really this region, it is really my honor to welcome you again to the Mile High City. God bless y'all.
Thank you, Mary Hancock, for those great and inspiring words. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you the Executive Director of the Biennial of the Americas, Flora Jane D'Arencio. Flora Jane, none of this would have happened. We have lots of partners, Lisa Carpenter, the State Department, everybody, but we have lots of partners. But Flora Jane was tireless. I actually had the honor of meeting her mother and reported that I was usually the #1 pest on her phone on a daily basis. But I have to tell you a little vignette. So for those of you who have traveled to my homeland called Cuba, we have this great place that Time magazine calls it one of the 100 top places to see in the world, which is La Fábrica de Arte de Cuba. Last summer, when we all decided and we all stood around and said, how are we going to culturally embrace all of Latin America and Canada in this function, we came up with creating La Fábrica de Arte de Americas. Sandra Lopez, who's here today, her husband, X Alfonso. This has been beyond a labor of love to be able to do this, but Flora Jane has done it all with a great sense of humor, a little frustration here and there. And I'm sure that on Monday, some of us will be retiring early to have a couple of drinks early to be able to do that. But with that, I'm proud to introduce our Executive Director, Flora Jane.
If they're going to keep saying nice things about me, I'm going to keep hosting luncheons. All right, everyone. I'm Flora Jane, Executive Director of the Biennial of the Americas. It's a true honor to have you all here and to be kicking off the City Summit of the Americas with this very full room. So thank you for joining us. I want to acknowledge a few other folks who are joining us today. Of course, our Board of Directors of the Biennial of the Americas. Without you and without your leadership, this is not possible. So I'll spare them from standing, but maybe if you just do a wave, that would be meaningful. I also want to acknowledge and not to play favorites, but this table right over here, we have a beautiful video coming up, and I think you will see why we do this work here at the Biennial. But just to acknowledge a little bit, Ana Maria Hernando, this beautiful art piece and the beautiful centerpieces, you make this work. And of course, my mom and my daughter, who also when we started working on the City Summit of the Americas and looking through the fabulous list of mayors, I had this fear that over the 2 days in the convention center, it would be panel after panel after panel of mostly men. So I said, oh, well, let's just host our own panel and put women on it, all women. So that's what we're doing today. Only 1 in 5 mayors across our hemisphere are women. We have work to do. I want to hear from these fabulous leaders. I want to leave inspired, and I hope you all will too, but also to take this challenge forth, and for the littlest ones, so they know they too can be mayors. Every good leader has 2 amazing partners, Danielle Oliveto from the state of Colorado, and Lisa Carpenter, who's not here because she's busy registering people for the City Summit with the mayor's office. So amazing to have female leadership in all aspects of the City Summit. And of course, now your amazing MC for today is Michelle Griego. She is with CBS Colorado. She's a Denver native. She's been around and then came back to Colorado where she belongs. So who better than to guide us through our conversation today and be our host, Michelle Collier's coming. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. How's everyone doing today? All right. You can do better than that. How's everyone doing today? All right. Thank you so much, Flora Jane and Maria. It is such an honor to be with you today. I am a Denver native. I'm proud of my city. Even when I lived in another city, which we won't name, I still always brought up Denver. Denver's always been a part of my heart. That campus over there has always been a part of my heart too. So it's so nice to be part of a program that really cherishes and is sharing this beautiful city with the rest of the hemisphere. The Americas Leadership Luncheon, it aims to spotlight women in leadership and showcase and celebrate women in the arts. And so we were all greeted by Denver-based Ecuadorian pop artist Neoma. Can we give them a big round of applause? Wonderful performance. And just can't stop admiring this. This is what Flora Jane was just talking about, this beautiful sculpture. Ana Maria Hernando, thank you so much for this. We also want to invite up here, yes, a round of applause. Now I want to invite up to the stage the Cities Summit Logo Award winner, Daniela Portugal from Bolivia. After a hemisphere-wide contest, this was a huge contest, she was selected and she is here today to share her creative process with all of us.
Buenas tardes a todos. Para mí es un gran honor estar aquí y también es un paso importante para mi carrera. Aquí en la cumbre de las ciudades y tener la oportunidad de compartir con ustedes el proceso creativo detrás del logo que diseñé y la idea que lo inspiró. Como diseñadora me preguntaba, ¿cómo puedo representar la unión de todas las ciudades de las Américas? ¿Y cómo puedo reflejar mi esencia? Fue entonces cuando recordé que al ingresar al gimnasio marcaba mi huella y ahí es donde surgió en mi mente la idea principal de las huellas dactilares. Me di cuenta de que cada huella es única y diferente, representando nuestra identidad indeleble. Con esta inspiración decidí utilizar las huellas dactilares como base en el diseño del logo. El logo se puede entender a través de 3 conceptos que me llevaron a su realización. El primer concepto es una representación visual de la identidad colectiva de las Américas, Utilicé las huellas dactilares para formar la silueta del continente, lo que simboliza la idea de cada uno de nosotros. A pesar de nuestras diferencias, estamos unidos como parte de una sola comunidad. Las huellas dactilares son únicas e indelebles, lo que refleja nuestra identidad individual, pero también nos conecta como parte de un todo más grande. Para resaltar la diversidad de nuestros pueblos, utilicé colores vibrantes que reflejan la vitalidad y la alegría de la vida de las Américas. El segundo concepto que presento se centra en la tecnología biométrica, la cual representa tanto una oportunidad como un desafío para la integración de todas las comunidades a través de las ciudades inteligentes, preservando la identidad única que cada ciudad posee. Por lo tanto, el logotipo también simboliza el progreso tecnológico que utiliza los rasgos individuales de cada persona para unirnos en una sola comunidad. Y por último, el tercer concepto busca reflejar la igualdad que existe entre todos nosotros. Aunque cada huella es única y diferente, para el ojo humano son irreconocibles. De manera similar, me gusta pensar que nuestra América es igual en su diversidad desde Alaska hasta la Patagonia. Y este concepto se plasma en el diseño del logo. Me agrada la idea de que nuestras huellas estén en nuestras manos, ya que es a través de ellas que realizamos cada acción, desde las más pequeñas hasta las más grandes. Actualmente nos encontramos en la primera cumbre de las ciudades, donde podemos trabajar juntos para conocernos mejor e integrarnos. Como bien dice el refrán, la acción es la mejor forma de expresión, o como lo digo, hacer es la mejor manera de decir. Les agradezco a todos por su atención y espero que este logo les inspire tanto como a mí. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much for sharing your creative process with us. Let's give her another round of applause. Well, I am so pleased right now to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Maria Rosario Jackson, Chair of the National Endowment for the Arts. Dr. Jackson's career has focused on understanding and elevating arts, culture, and design as crucial elements of healthy and equitable communities. A planner, a researcher, and academic, Dr. Jackson is a tenured professor on leave from Arizona State University, where she led the Studio for Creativity, Place, and Equitable Communities. She also served as a senior advisor at the Kresge Foundation, and she has advised other foundations. She was the founding director of the Culture, Creativity, and Communities program at the Urban Institute in Washington, D.C. As the chair of the National Endowment for the Arts, Dr. Jackson leads the nation's federal agency for the arts and cultural sector, promoting excellence and innovation in artistic expression and fostering creative placemaking across the country. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Maria Rosario Jackson.
Thank you, Michelle, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I like call and response. I'm delighted to be in Denver to join you at the inaugural Americas Leadership Luncheon. Thank you to Flora Jane and the rest of the City Summit of the Americas staff for inviting me to share some thoughts with you today. Y bienvenidos a todos aquellos que han viajado desde otros países para unirse a nosotros hoy. Gracias por su participación. It is an absolute honor to take part in celebrating the work and advancement of women who are pioneers, trailblazers, and innovators across the country. I'm in brilliant company here today. To all in attendance, thank you for what you do for your diverse areas and realms of work. The last 3 years have been challenging, to say the least. A pandemic, heightened racial reckoning, exacerbated inequities and proclamations to do better, global instability, concerns about climate and the environment, and more. It has been and continues to be an extraordinary time full of trials, but also full of evidence of strength, resilience, flexibility, and possibility. In so many ways, in the last 3 years, personally and professionally, as we've had to reimagine ways of working and organizing our lives, we've been challenged to often question what we've held as orthodoxy, what we may have thought of as not negotiable. And hopefully, we've also become more discerning in our recognition of what is essential, what is foundational. Through our creativity, imagination, generosity, and curiosity, we've been able to respond, adapt, and step up to the challenges of our times. As leaders, many of us have had the opportunity, moral obligation, or mandate to reset the foundations of our respective fields and imagine the next versions of our organizations, our sectors, the next version of our communities and cities. This requires us to be intentional about not just snapping back to romanticize notions of what was pre-pandemic. As we guide investments, make policies, design programs, it's imperative to take stock and figure out what we've learned and what we've known that has been affirmed and what has been challenged or even debunked. While in an ongoing process of taking stock myself, I'm happy to share with you some things that I feel certain about and some things that guide my work from my perch as the chair of the National Endowment for the Arts. But let me offer a little bit of personal background first. I'm an oddball in this position because although I've been working in the arts for the better part of 30 years, my training is in urban planning, public policy, community development, although my roots are in arts and culture. My commitment to the arts started early, and it started at home. My parents resorted to the arts because they needed resources to help raise my brother and me to be proud of our cultures. They wanted us to understand where they and we came from, and to be aware that our history, a mixture of African American and Mexican cultures, is rich and complex. And they looked to the work of musicians, poets, writers, visual artists, those who could help us not just know intellectually, but feel and truly know what it was that we were from, what legacy we held. They wanted us to be proud of our backgrounds, to understand our place in history and in the world. And they also wanted us to be curious about others, to understand similarities and meaningful differences, and to recognize our common humanity. Early on and up to present day, I've carried with me the belief that artists, culture bearers, and designers are necessary in many different ways. They help us make sense of the world. They offer us different ways of thinking, feeling, being. They're a source of inspiration and innovation. They're critically important to our resilience and to our ability to thrive. And so important, the work of artists helps us protect, reclaim, and advance our humanity. Early in my career, I was sometimes discouraged from my focus on arts and culture. I would have well-meaning colleagues in planning school and earlier in my career say to me, "You care about inequity. You want to address racist structures and improve neighborhoods. Why are you doing this arts and culture stuff?" And they would ask me that as if I was off mission, and it would annoy me. But I remained committed. And I didn't have the words early in my career to explain why my focus was what it was. But I knew that that was my work. I knew in my core that that's what I was supposed to be doing. But eventually I found the words. And what I've been able to say for a number of years now is that if you look around the world and throughout the ages in strategies to disempower, the first thing that is tampered with is one's ability to make meaning, to ask questions, to have aesthetics, to express yourself fully and creatively, to connect to the divine or experience transcendence, to do the things that we do through art. So, if it's so powerful that it has to be tampered with or controlled in order to oppress, why don't we think of it as core to building? I believe that unleashing the full power of art requires arts and cultural practices to not exist in isolation or in a bubble. They should infuse everything we do. At its best, the integration of arts, culture, and design relies on more expansive and inclusive ideas, and I'll share some premises that have guided my work. First of all people have the capacity to be creative. Creativity is an individual and community asset from which to build. Communities are not blank slates, and often what is overlooked, especially in historically marginalized communities around the globe, is the creativity and culture that exists there. Second, the ability for people to be expressive and tell their own stories on their own terms is a critical dimension of a just and equitable society. At our best, it's part of our American ethos. Third, arts and cultural activities happen in many kinds of places. Of course, those places that are dedicated to the arts explicitly, like museums and performing arts venues like this beautiful place, but also in community centers, houses of worship, commercial venues, schools, parks, and public streets. And while people participate as audience and consumers, they also participate by making, doing, teaching, learning. And I'm sure this is true across the hemisphere. Fourth, art process can be as important as, or in some cases even more important than art product. And that's sometimes a hard concept to grasp because we're generally socialized to pay attention to the art product that we'll consume. The act of being in creative process, though, especially collective creative process, has value in and of itself and often generates agency, stewardship, social cohesion, contributes to the creation of new narratives, and enables us to hold nuance and appreciate complexity. All I think of as preconditions for other community goals and things that we say to aspire to as citizens of our respective nations. Fifth, artists and designers have many kinds of relationships to publics and roles within communities. In addition to the traditional ways that we tend to think of what artists do, some artists and designers can help us take responsibility for our own creative lives, contributing to our wellness. Some artists and designers can help us to imagine policy, understand how things are working or not, and help imagine other ways of addressing challenges and opportunities. Artists, designers, and culture bearers can help us imagine the communities and cities we want. Sixth and last, the arts are intrinsically important, full stop. At the same time, they're important because they contribute to other dynamics and can help us address community needs and aspirations, and these things are not necessarily inconsistent with each other. I strongly believe that arts are often, again, preconditions for the things we say we want to achieve and essential to getting us unstuck as we move forward into our post-pandemic world. The ability to get unstuck is especially important now as we set the foundation for the next versions of our communities, towns, and cities, the next versions of our sectors, not defaulting to what we've always done without critical assessment relies on considering diverse worldviews. This includes elevating the perspectives of groups we don't often hear from enough, including women. It requires asking new questions, being curious about the answers, and willing to take seriously different ways of knowing, recognizing that different ways of working can be legitimate and impactful. I believe to my core that it requires arts-infused civic engagement that allows us all to consider our circumstances with head, heart, and hand, intellectually, emotionally, and physically. It's only when we're engaged fully that we're actually available for paradigm shift, available to new ideas, new ways of being and acting that will make possible the communities and cities that we aspire to. From my perch as chair of the National Endowment for the Arts, with our mission of ensuring that all people in the United States have equitable opportunities for arts participation and practice and ensure that all benefit from the arts, I see our contributions as critical elements in building communities where all people can thrive. As I've traveled and spoken around the United States and beyond, I've been advancing an idea that centers around the importance of all people having the opportunity to live artful lives. And artful lives is an inclusive concept. It contains a wide range of arts experiences, including the everyday, deeply meaningful practices and expressions of our diverse lives, the preservation and advancement of artistic family and cultural traditions, our personal and collective active creative practices in all artistic disciplines, as well as the experience of professional arts as audiences and consumers. It includes finding and infusing creativity in all we do. Unleashing the full power of the arts requires animating work at the intersection of arts and education, community development, climate, health and well-being, and more. At the National Endowment for the Arts, we're leaning into our role as a national resource, working to help create and bolster healthy arts ecosystems that allow for artful lives and make possible the infusion of arts and culture into our civic infrastructure. And I think of our civic infrastructure as the policy and programmatic arrangements that we rely on to care for each other, the mechanisms that we rely on to create opportunity-rich environments where all of us can reach our full potential. As a national resource, of course, grant making is a core function, and through grants, we help to animate the work of thousands of different kinds of arts and arts-relevant organizations in urban and rural communities throughout the country, making possible a wide range of opportunities for engagement and the full expression of rich artistic and cultural diversity of our nation. We're also stewards of other kinds of resources that can help advance our mission and, by extension, quality of life in our communities and cities. As a federal agency, we have the ability to create partnerships with other federal agencies and to help ensure that our reach is wide and deep, and also to help ensure that the power of the arts is available in critical ways that lead to healthier communities, as well as a competitive and compassionate nation. This entails helping to unlock opportunities for artists and arts organizations to contribute in both new and proven ways. Examples of this include enhancing our longstanding collaboration with the Department of Education through our arts education investments, building on exciting services and research in collaboration with the Department of Defense and the Department of Veterans Affairs, as well as a growing relationship with the Department of Health and Human Services, including the Center for Disease Control. And through these collaborations, we're helping to provide benefit and demonstrate the power of the arts in relation to aspects of mental and physical health, as well as health education. Our work includes making sure that the arts are integrated into our physical infrastructure by including artists in planning processes and more effectively helping give voice to communities, and also by helping express the unique histories and identities of communities through public art, as is possible through a collaboration with the General Services Administration and emerging work that we're beginning with the Department of Transportation as well as the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It includes making sure we're tending to the creative economy by investing in it and recognizing its significant contributions to gross domestic product through a collaboration with the Bureau of Economic Analysis at the Department of Commerce. Our commitment to the cross-agency collaboration that I've described has been bolstered. At the end of 2022, President Biden issued an all-of-government executive order that calls for all federal agencies to partner with the federal cultural agencies, the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Endowment for the Humanities, and the Institute for Museum and Library Services. In that executive order, the President calls out the importance of the arts to our health, our economy, and to democracy itself. More recently, at the ceremony honoring artists who received the prestigious National Medal of Arts at the White House, President Biden called medal recipients truth tellers, bridge builders, and change seekers as he praised their contributions to our country. And I have to say, I was so pleased to be in the company of Cleo Parker Robinson, Denver's own. as she and her colleagues received a National Medal of Arts for their work on the International Association of Blacks in Dance. So Denver should be very proud. As a national resource, the NEA is also a convener, a connector, and a catalyst, lifting up and helping to spread impactful ideas and ways of working. The NEA advances learning and capacity building with the intent of making sure that the power of the arts and design are harnessed in important realms. Examples of this include our collaboration with the National Conference of Mayors on the Mayors Institute on City Design, or MICD as we call it for short, which has been in existence for more than 30 years, and a newer program, the Just City Mayoral Fellowship. In these programs, mayors come together in a safe space to workshop important challenges and opportunities in their cities. Mayors have access to each other and to designers and artists as resources to help them address the issues they're encountering in effective and creative ways. MICD demonstrates that design affects most every issue facing our communities, from economic development to housing to transportation. I'm very proud that over 1,200 mayors have come through MICD, and we're always eager to invite more into that program. The Just City Mayoral Fellowship is a program of MICD in partnership with Just City Lab at Harvard Graduate School of Design. It helps mayors develop and strengthen approaches to embedding justice and equity goals within government policies and practices, and for more just and equitable outcomes, including consideration of the role of arts and design in those processes. The NEA commissions and conducts research that helps us understand the impacts of the arts as well as the state of the sector. And more, we're involved in pushing the envelope on helping to define and call questions about what makes for healthy, viable communities where all people can thrive. We certainly believe that the arts are a critically important part of the equation, a critically important part of the recipe. I'm deeply inspired by what is possible, especially as more and more women and people with diverse perspectives and life experiences step into positions of power. This is a generative time that we should not squander. We have the unique opportunity to consider diverse perspectives and see things anew. We have the opportunity to get unstuck, dream big, and we don't have to stay in our traditional lanes. Thank you for your leadership and all that you do, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Let's give Dr. Jackson another round of applause. So, of course, the Biennial of Americas supports the exchange of arts and ideas and recognizes the extraordinary talent within our local community. If you know this community and you've been in this community a while, you do know Cleo Parker Robinson Dance Ensemble. Yes. We are so privileged to not only have Cleo Parker Robinson here herself, but also members of the Dance Ensemble, a world-renowned dance company that's currently celebrating its 52nd anniversary season. That's amazing in itself. With this, we can clap. Its roots are deeply planted in African American traditions and legacy. The ensemble is committed to inspiring so many people and inspiring movement and celebrating diversity through its performances and enrichment programs, viewing dance as a universal language transcending boundaries of culture, transcending boundaries of class and age. Cleo Parker Robinson Dance is committed to honoring diversity and inclusiveness through the global community. And so please join me in welcoming the all-female ensemble of Cleo Parker Robinson performing Freedom Dance, an homage to powerful women coming together and dancing with joy, strength, and courage.
said, follow the dreams that curve around you. Wade in the waters, bathe in the ancient light that found you, yeah. From the breath of pure creation comes a joy that sets my spirit free. From the rapture of surrendering, I'm one with all that lives in me. This is my freedom dance, so freedom, freedom. Oh. The crosswinds blowing, carving the valley of my heart's dream. The shifting sand tides taught me the truth that made my soul scream. Hear the voices of my universe, a fountain flowing pure and free. And I speak to those who reach to hear, inviting you to dance with me. Join my freedom dance. Dance for joy. My freedom dance. Let your spirit soar. Join my freedom dance. Dance for life. My freedom dance. Let your heart take flight. Join my freedom dance. Dance for joy. My freedom dance. Let your spirit soar. Join my freedom dance. Dance for life. My freedom dance. Gliding on the wind. The love within must never end. In silent witness, I stand upon the rock of ages. Inviting you to dance with me. Join my freedom dance. Dance for joy. My freedom dance. Let your spirit soar.
Beautiful performance there. Let's give it up again for Cleo Parker Robinson Dance Ensemble. And we like the all-female ensemble. That's pretty cool. All right, we want to watch From the Americas, this is a video featuring 5 female leaders from our community, sharing glimpses of their journeys leaving their countries and settling here in Denver. It's a message of connection and belonging. It transcends borders and celebrates the rich tapestry of our hemisphere into the making of a city.
When I first came to Denver, which was 40 years ago, it was nothing like home.
Before I moved to Denver, I didn't know really anything about it.
I would have never thought I would lived in a place like this.
Denver reminds me of home in a variety of ways. Our neighborhoods are becoming more diverse, and that people of different backgrounds are finding a place to live and commune together and be in community together. It's just a wonderful reminder of how I grew up back home.
I feel that all of my different parts comes together with the woman that I am now in Colorado. Colorado has a thirst for diversity, a thirst for new things, for new beginnings. It's a young state at the heart, and Denver is. So in that way, I have felt super welcome.
So for me, Denver was really welcoming in the sense that there were people from all over the world here. I noticed different cultures, different events that really represented that. So that for me really made it feel like home.
The great thing about Denver, Colorado is that the community feel is the same in the Caribbean. We can really rely on each other and our neighbors. And I've never felt this feeling like an island feeling in any other city that I've been in, and Denver does have that sense of community.
When I moved from Mexico, I checked different places. I went to California, I went to Chicago, I went to different places. But when I land here, the first day it feels home. It's about the culture, it's about building relationships, building communities, helping each other.
I definitely consider myself as being from the Americas. The great thing about this region is that we're so diverse. There are so many different cultures. The Caribbean is so different from Latin America, from North America, and it's just great that we have all of these cultures in the Americas.
I think through an organization like the Biennials of the Americas, you really get to see how connected we are, and that there's people, from all over that are all convening here. And so I think I feel a little more connected being in America and seeing that there's so many people from other regions of the Americas.
Being from the Americas means a lot of different things, and it means diversity, and it means variety, and it means that there's a great deal of mix to who I am and to how I came to be.
Of course, I feel that I'm Las Americas. To me, it's something that you carry in your blood. From wherever you go, you're representing all of your people in America, wherever you go.
And when I think of the Americas, and I think of Denver as so wonderfully placed in the map, because it's at the spine that connects all of the continent with the Rockies and the Andes. And that's the thread that connects us all the cultures, all the landscapes, all the voices and languages. So in all of that, I feel I am from the Americas.
The Biennial of the Americas has helped the city of Denver become a melting pot and a meeting place for citizens from the Americas.
The Biennial of the Americas has helped the city of Denver become hip and woke and global.
The Biennial of the Americas community inspires me to be more me.
The Biennial of the Americas creates connections across the Americas that will be long-lasting.
The Biennial of the Americas community is helping me a lot to start thinking how we can change the world.
I am from Panama.
I am from Buenos Aires.
I'm from Winnipeg, Canada.
I am from St. Lucia in the Caribbean.
I'm from Chihuahua, Mexico.
And I am from the Americas.
So powerful hearing all of those stories. And some of those beautiful women are with us here today. So can you please all stand? Table 18. Yes. Well, we are so delighted to present the last part of our program with you, the panel, Mayors of the Americas, led by our esteemed moderator, Dr. Jackson. As we've learned, there is significant gender disparity in mayoral positions in the hemisphere, with only 1 out of 5 mayors being women. 1 out of 5. So today we are very fortunate to have on our panel 3 remarkable female mayors who are leading the way in their respective cities. So please give a warm welcome to Mayor Jody Gondek from Calgary, Canada. Mayor Claudia Lopez from Bogota, Colombia. And Mayor Jenny Arndt from Fort Collins, Colorado, who are already on the stage. And I'm going to turn it over once again to Dr. Jackson.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Awesome. It is such an honor to be up on this stage with you. It is inspiring just to know that you are leading in the way you are. And I'm so looking forward to our conversation where you'll, in the course of answering some questions and speaking with me and each other, you'll also be able to reveal a little bit about your own perspective, or perspectives, plural, as women in these such important roles, these roles that shape places, that create lives. And with that, I want to start the first question to the entire panel. And the question has to do with what is it, from your vantage point, that you understand as key characteristics of places where all people can thrive. Characteristics of what it is to be a great city. I think a great city is a place where all people can thrive. So I'll indulge me with that particular interpretation. But I'm also eager to hear how, as you answer that question, your experience of the last 3 years in getting through a global pandemic, how it may have shifted your thinking about that question. And we can start with you, ma'am, with Calgary.
Well, thank you for a great big question, first of all. And it's one that I think all of us think about quite regularly. How do you create a sense of place in a city? How do you create a city that people want to be a part of, that they see themselves in? So I think that's got to be the primary focus. And Dr. Jackson, you mentioned that you feel like a bit of an oddity because of, you know, how you came into arts and culture. I'm a sociologist, so I see cities as the intersection of people and places. So I don't see it as just being this urban design methodology. I think there's much more to it. How do you create inviting spaces where people feel that they belong? And I think there's many different ways to do that we sometimes forget because we're so concerned about the structures and the facilities and the infrastructure. But a great city is one where you might hear your mother language, right? We've heard people speaking different languages our whole lives, but there tends to be one dominant language in a city, and it's, you know, quite common to say in polite company, we shall only speak English. Well, I think in polite company, we should do things like say, Oki, Dadanastada, Ambawastich, and Tanshe. Those are the mother languages of the Treaty 7 nations, where Calgary is located. So trying to do things like that, trying to do everyday things like that allow people to be seen and heard and feel that they are included and they belong in a place, I think those are some pretty philosophical questions that we have to ask ourselves.
Great. Mayor Lopez, how would you answer that question?
Well, first of all, it was just such a great honor to be in this auditorium, to be in Denver. I want to thank you, my dear friend, the mayor of Denver, for having us here in such a wonderful place. Well, I think this is a question crucial for humanity. Half of the human beings in this planet live in cities already. And 80% of us will live in cities in this century. So how to make great cities is probably one of the most fundamental questions of our time. And cities are, in my opinion, a combination, or a great city is the one who unleash the uniqueness of each individual, of each human being. In this time of artificial intelligence that can sort of repeat us systematically, we need to remind that what makes us great is that we are unique. Each of us is unique and irrepeatable. But at the same time, a great city is the one that unleashes our communal diversity, that celebrates, that enhances the potential of diversity. The uniqueness as individuals and the diversity as communities is what makes cities this dense place in which we come together to thrive together. What they are. It's not about physical urban development, which of course is important and crucial, and the role of arts, the role of architecture, the role of engineer, is crucial to also build a sustainable city too, even more in this time of climate emergency. But I will say that the crucial thing about the city, about being a great city or build great cities, is if a city is able to care for people, for the uniqueness and diversity and potential of its women and its kids, of its youth people, people of all ages, if it's able to care for democracy. We need to care for democracy. We need to care for our institutions that inspire the best of us, the higher of us, not the lowest of us. Caring for democracy is crucial in our time. No global challenge, whether it is education or gender inclusion or climate change or rescue in a time in which we're going to have multiple disasters to confront, is going to be confronted by the smartest person in this world. We need collective action. And the best way to achieve collective action is democracy. Autocrats and dictators don't even care about his own people. They're not going to care for people of other cities or other countries. The Treaty of Paris on climate change or the Sustainable Development Goals that we need to achieve in all of our cities are not going to achieve by autocrats and populists around the world. They're only going to be achieved through collective action, through putting our intelligence, our creativity, our innovation, our empathy and solidarity in common action. And the best way to do that is to care for democracy, rather than by division and polarization. And people who instrumentalize this division, this super ideologization of basic common sense things to get into power than to destroy our societies. That's a second responsibility of a great city. And I think the third is to care for our people so that our people care for democracy because they felt respected. They felt included. They feel unleashed with their potential and their uniqueness and the diversity. They are celebrated every day. And potential through education, through dignified health services, or social services, or education, or arts, or any path of life that they chose, so that we can all care for the planet. We're not going to care for the planet. I'm telling you, I'm coming from Latin America, from a great city. We are 8 million people. We are the heart of a metropolitan region of 10 million people. We collectively produce a third of Colombia's GDPs in the metropolitan region of Bogota. But we still have exclusion. We still have a level of inequality which simply prevents people from being the best people they can be. So we have these challenges, of course, of equality. We have these challenges of fighting poverty, and after the pandemic, even more. But people who feel indignified and in poverty, they're not going to care for the planet. You need, first of all, to care about them so that we collectively can care for the planet. I think caring for people, caring for democracy, and caring for the planet, those are the great cities of our time. We're already building some, such as Denver, and we need to build more in the future.
Thank you for that. Mayor Arndt, yeah.
Well, these women have my mind spinning around, so no matter what I was thinking about saying, I'm not going to say that. What I think about a lot is what makes a great city is a sense of belongingness, right? And so 3 words come to my mind: belongingness, connectivity, I guess it's 4, inclusivity, and then we have to build, to nurture our democracy, we have to instill trust. And all of those things come together to make the identity of someone feeling like they belong to a city, they belong to their neighbor, they can trust the government. I think that word isn't emphasized enough, and I think it's at risk, and I think it's the heart of democracy, because without trust in the government, we don't have high voter turnouts. We have a very few people really driving cities, states, countries, unless we instill that. And then I think, because to the question of the pandemic, I just say where there was a fission, there became a fracture, and a crack became a crevice, right? So I love Dr. Jackson, your word unstuck. So as we start getting unstuck, I think those 4 words I just mentioned, we have to do them with renewed intentionality. We kind of, when we say them and talk about them, we kind of know that. Oh, let's be inclusive. Oh, let's be trustful. Let's create a sense of belonging. But we have to really, really reimagine our public engagement. We have to if we see the city services, even, I'm a water person, even the way we design our water pipes, if we don't do that to create connectivity between people, so even the most basic city service, right, we can forget to build the hardware in our cities if we don't have the software in our mind of that lens. And that's what I think builds a great city, because we're good at sewers and pipelines and roads, but when we do it through the lens of equity, inclusion, belonging, and trust, I think then you can try to build a great city.
Thank you for that. So I'm hearing among the 3 of you the words belonging, empathy, trust, inclusion. All of those are really important. What I think of as preconditions for other things that we say that we aspire to. And I'm wondering, Mayor Gondek, I'll start with you. How do you know that people feel like they belong? What are the ways that you gauge that?
When you're able to connect with people, when you turn up as your authentic and real self, and you're not there as an elected official, and you're not there as some version of yourself, you actually get to hear from people about how they feel. And I'll give you an example. In Calgary, in historic City Hall, there's the mayor's office on the main floor, and then there's an area called the Grant McEwen Library, and it's named after a former mayor, and it's a room that used to be full of pomp and circumstance. If you were somebody, you were received in that room, and you signed this fancy book, and I bet there was like a silver tea service and all of these things that go along with it. And it was, you have arrived and you're important enough to be in this room. So we blew that concept up a little bit and decided that anyone who comes to visit the office of the mayor is an important person, and they shall be welcomed in that room. And we've turned it into our living room. So I think part and parcel of what you're asking, how do you know that people feel they belong? Well, if you have real connections with them, they'll tell you. They'll tell you when they feel that their community is being marginalized. They'll tell you when they feel that their credentials aren't being recognized. They will tell you when they feel that their kids are not being given enough chances and opportunities because of the color of their skin. They'll have real conversations with you because you're turning up authentically. And I think that's something that we all have to be hyper aware of. We live in times of extreme polarization, times that I have never seen and frankly never imagined. And so the only thing we can do now is return to a place of balance and lead with compassion and kindness and properly engage with people and ask them, what can we do for you that would make it better? And then to your point, create those services that they need. And to your point, create that democracy that actually makes people feel like they have a say and they can change the way that we operate as cities and make it better for them. So I think it's a lot of listening on our part.
Mayor Arndt, the concept of getting...
Thank you.
The concept of getting unstuck got your attention. I'm curious, what would getting unstuck feel like to you? What would be evidence of being unstuck?
We're working on that. So we recently had quite a big kerfuffle in Fort Collins, and the main complaint from the people who got enough signatures on the ballot to cause us to rescind an ordinance was they didn't feel heard. If you talk to the people who were doing our public outreach, they say, well, we were doing what we've always done. Okay, so everyone thought they were doing what was right. I said, but it doesn't really matter what we did if they didn't feel heard. So how do you reimagine, get unstuck? What was working before the pandemic is not working now. People live in Fort Collins and they don't work there, I'm sure just like in any of your cities. They don't shop there. They may be fully shopping online and telecommuting, right? So that also brings up to me the question of what is a city? How do those empty offices look now? How do we convert them? And what are we doing? So I think getting unstuck is first of all, acknowledging that everything's different right now. And if it's not working for the people, then you're not having an effective government, right? So even though your heart is good and you tried to do what had worked for so long, lots of awards on public engagement, all that stuff, if they don't feel heard, they haven't been. We haven't helped. So you have to just be nimble in your mind and always remember that the government's only there to serve the people. We are the people. And that just, again, seems so easy to say, and it's hard to do. So you have to be intentional.
Thank you for that. Mayor Lopez, in Bogota, what are some of the lessons from COVID as you think about that very inspiring three-part response that you shared about what makes for a great city? How has the experience of the past 3 years helped to shape that?
Well, it has been such a great experience. I'm the first woman to be elected mayor in Bogota. But I'm not going to be the last one. You can be sure of that. And to some extent, sometimes throughout these 3 years, my term is for 4 years, there is no re-election. So I think, look, I fought all my life to be able to be in this place. And 2 months after I became in office, then I have the COVID pandemic. Then we have the unemployment. Then we have the poverty crisis. Then we have a social rebellion, basically, very violent. And then we have a wave of insecurity. So it's like dealing with the 7 plagues, not in the Bible, but in this time. I said, really? Come on, this is my first time here. I was coming with my plan, the new social contract, the new Green Deal for my city. Guess what? Just save people's life, period. Then we'll green the planet. But at the same time, of course, there have been some suffering, some structural problems that just worsen, but also many opportunities. You know, I'm in a city in which, when I came into the city, 20% of the population were under poverty. And in a year, because of the pandemic, 40% was under poverty. And what I required to this unequal society was, look, we're going to sacrifice all the material well-being we have now, all, to save the life, to save our lives. Before, we don't have any vaccine, and we don't know exactly when we're going to have it. We don't know exactly how to care for us at this time. The only thing we know is we need to go home. We need to distance ourselves. And a city is, by definition, a density of people, a density of connections. So it's so hard, it's so unnatural to the way we live in cities. It was an enormous sacrifice. It was a psychological sacrifice. It was an economic sacrifice. But everybody was willing to do it. First, to protect lives. Then to use science and to acknowledge and to have trust in knowledge and science. You know, I was the under mayor. You know, the actual mayor was the team of epidemiologists and scientists who know what to do and who tell us what to do. And we just need to follow and trust their knowledge. And we did it. And that saved a lot of lives. Because we did it on time, we did it carefully, and with solidarity. So remind that collective integrity and intelligence, and acknowledging that others' specialities are better prepared than us, who were elected to lead at that moment, that was crucial. The third thing was, now we need to recover. Now we have vaccines. 20 years ago, Colombia produced vaccines. And for some reason, the national government decided it was not so more important. They can sort of hand that over to somebody else's. Big mistake. Now we are the first city in Latin America who's gonna left as a legacy in Bogota a new institution to produce vaccine and pharmaceutical products for Bogota, for Colombia, and for Latin America. And that's something we're gonna leave there to strengthen the knowledge and the scientific capacity to confront the next, because unfortunately, there is gonna be a next. So we have to be well prepared. The fourth lesson was to create a care system for everybody, but not a care system that relies upon the overburden of women to care for others, but a care system that is actually able, in first place, to relieve women from unpaid care work and from domestic work, so that we can build a more equitable care system in the city. Of course, we need to take care of kids and elders and people with disabilities, but we cannot continue doing this in Latin America and in the world at the expense of women talents, of women time, and of women opportunities to be included in the market, to be included in democracy. So we built the first city-level caring system in Bogota. The first one, national level. Uruguay has it. And my dear friend Carolina Cose, the mayor of Montevideo, is an example in Latin America. But we're so proud to follow her and to be the second who are going to have the social infrastructure, the social services, to care for the kids, yes, to care for the elders, yes, to care for people with disabilities, but not overburdening women in unpaid care work, but relieving women from that. And the fifth thing I will say is that we need to align the social contract to train youth. Why we have this social unrest so violently? Mainly because the youth generation feel frustrated. You know, all they want is opportunities for education and jobs of the 21st century. A decent, digital,
green, innovative job. And we're not being able to offer them. And yes, we work hard. So I said, look, we are the capital of Colombia. We are the best universities, public and private, in Colombia. And a kid in our city and a youth guy in our city or woman in our city has to spend 5 years in a post-secondary program. 5 years is long, it's large, it's expensive, and it's not conducing him or her to a good job or to a decent entrepreneurial opportunity. Come on, we need to make post-secondary education, happy. First of all, cheaper, shorter, and more pertinent to the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century. I will say those are the 5 things we're working hard and we're going to leave as a legacy of both after the pandemic.
You're firing us up. Mayor Lopez is firing us up. I have a question about the idea of a care system, which has come up. I know from my perch at the National Endowment for the Arts, as we've had to play a role in caring for the cultural sector as part of our recovery and through the pandemic, we also noticed how the cultural sector was part of that caring system in so many cities and communities around the country. And I'm curious, how do you define a caring system? And how does it intersect with other concepts that have to do with being competitive and with other concepts that come up often when we talk with mayors about what they aspire to in cities? Mayor Gondek.
Well, I will say this, trying to create a caring system within each city is a gigantic expenditure of time and energy. So I need to give full props to an organization in Canada called Federation of Canadian Municipalities that pulls together, it pulls together mayors and elected officials from across the country, and it brings us together at the table. We have a group called the Big City Mayors Caucus. And with the leadership and facilitation of Federation of Canadian Municipalities, we as mayors from across the country are able to identify common problems like housing affordability, access to mental health supports, addiction, public safety, transit, all of these things that are so critical to us that we don't directly control and fund in many cases. So by joining together as a collaboration of mayors, we've been able to push our federal government partners to say, look, the way that you are structured doesn't work for us. We need to figure out how you're actually going to help us better without having a Ministry of Municipal Affairs, because their perspective is that's the provincial government's worry. So we are asking them, urging them, giving them active examples of things that we are doing in our cities that allow us to care for our people in a more meaningful way, but we need their funding and their support. So that's one of the big things we have to do, is learn how to work together, because cities generally have similar struggles. So if we're advocating together, we might be able to accomplish more. And the second thing I will say is governments are very good at isolating and insulating themselves from the private sector. And when you do that, you miss massive opportunities. And I don't just mean on the capital side, because we talk a lot about, if we're going to build a more sustainable world, we need to have flow of capital into, climate initiatives, emissions reduction initiatives. The other thing is tapping into expertise and the brain power that exists within many of these corporations. So one of the biggest lessons that we've learned in Calgary is if you work with the energy sector, you can learn a lot about the transition that they've been doing over time and how we are now at this critical point of massive transformation. So I'm sitting at a table with Suncor. I can tell you there are people at Suncor who have been doing very good work around energy transition. We actually now have an energy transition center in Calgary. We are doing transformative work, but we didn't know that as a government because we never went out and spoke with these people. So those industry-government partnerships are also critical. I would say those are two important things.
Thank you. Mayor Arndt.
I think I'm learning so much from my colleagues, but I think, I'm not, creating a community of caring comes from helping people belong to each other and create that sense of connectedness. I also don't think the government, because I'm American, United States, we don't probably see that the government can create the ultimately caring community, that it's not all up to the government. Now, I'm also very careful to say the government can be anything the people want it to be because we create it. So it drives me back to this notion of what is the modern city, and what does it look like, and what are our responsibilities, and what can we do, and what. So this part of this conference is about the subnational and recognizing the power of municipalities in civic life, and also to provide services beyond what we have traditionally provided, which would be, light, power, sewer, roads, those sorts of things. So I always tell people when they think Fort Collins is probably providing too many services, I said, well, we're the government only responds to what the will of the people is, right? That's all we are. But we are being asked to, childcare is something new for a municipality. Our state has passed several bills where they're turning it to local control, safe injection sites. We don't have a health care department in our city. Our county does. So I think all these lines of traditional responsibility are changing, as they should, in a dynamic globe. And we are being tasked as our national governments and our state governments, the municipal governments also being challenged to try to understand what our role is and how we all work together in these ideas of basically caring for each other. So that's kind of, we're on that cusp.
Yeah. And a question for Mayor Lopez, since you said you were the first mayor of Bogota as a woman, how has that impacted your leadership? What is that? What experience is that? What is that like?
I think the most important thing of being the first in anything is that you have the opportunity and the great honor to open doors for many more coming behind you. Probably one of the things that made me most happy throughout this time is when I went every week. I go to a school every week, either to read with the kids, to work with them, to open a new arts festival, anything. This part of my job is to go to a school every week. And when I see the girls that all say, "Oh, you're the mayor, I want to be a mayor," and they're like 6 or 7 years old, that makes my day. That's the important thing, is the image that you, girl, can achieve whatever you want to. You're not going to be princess, but you're going to be Prince Science, for example, in the next generation. That's something that changed my life every day, that made me realize how honored I am. I am the daughter of a teacher. I came from a low middle income family. I'm the oldest of 6 siblings, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. So I sort of made myself through this point with the love, with education, with discipline. Those are my tools. And I think that's part of my city. That's the greatest thing that my city has, that you have this sense that you can achieve, that if you really care for others, care for yourself, work hard, study, pursue something, have civic engagement with others, there is merit, and merit will be valued. And that's something why we have, I'm the first woman, but we have like 6 different sort of independent mayors that didn't come from traditional parties or traditional political connections. They really made themselves through different paths. So that's something that is sort of in Bogota DNA. But at the same time, in the same way that disadvantages accumulate, opportunities accumulate. So when you provide people with happiness and love and recognition and dignity and education, that accumulates. That accumulates and opens doors for other people. I'm not only the first woman, I'm the first lesbian to be mayor in my city. And there's a great recognition for my city too. So, given the fact that I came from Latin America, in which unfortunately, class and race is still such a very important thing to define your path of life. I'm always say, look, I'm woman, lesbian, daughter of a teacher. I'm just missing being from a given ethnicity. But now, the vice president of my country, Colombia, is a black woman coming from the Pacific area. So that change is not only in Bogota, it's coming to Colombia, and it will change our continent too.
And I know we're running short on time, but I saw both Mayor Gondek and Mayor Arndt nod a few times as Mayor Lopez was chatting. I'm just curious to hear, what is your experience as a woman in your position? If you had to offer a thought in relation to that question, what would we be as we wrap up?
Well, I nodded a lot because I can hear your passion. I can feel the things that you've been through because I'm the first woman mayor of Calgary, and it was always a very strange question to me when people said, "What's it like to be the first female mayor?" And I would take the question at face value and sort of think, I don't know, it's like being a woman doing every other thing I do when I'm doing the laundry or whatever. Because like that's just how you feel. I am a woman. I can't tell you what it's like to be a woman and be the mayor because it's just me being me. I have a new job now. But when you break down what the question means and you really understand what people are getting at, they're asking you, what does it mean to others? And what it means to others is the point that was just made. You too can do this. I will not be the last. I'm only the first. There will be many more after me. And every time you visit with a school, and every time a little group of girls comes up and says, I'm going to be the mayor, it is absolutely inspiring. And you look at them and you think, for sure you are. You can absolutely do this. So, I mean, that is very powerful. But the struggles are still there. You know, the expectations that you should do things the way men before you always did them, those are there. And when you move away from traditional power roles and you try to do them in a different way, it's uneasy for everyone. If you are in a meeting and you show any kind of emotion, it freaks everybody in the room out. But it also calms them down a bit. And so I think, I'll say this again, being real, being vulnerable, saying the unsaid things that must be said, because we're at too critical of a conjecture in our world right now to not say those things, and to show up every day knowing that you are there to do this for the people that you serve. You have to do it with authenticity. And so being a woman allows me to do that, because if I have finally broken into this place that it took over 130 years to do, then damn it, I am breaking all the chains and I will do this the way that I'm meant to do it, and hopefully it will change everything.
Mayor Arndt, will you close us out?
Oh, since I was a little girl, we've had female mayors in Fort Collins. Mabel Preble, Susan Kirkpatrick, Betsy Markey's here. She was our congresswoman. We have a long line of strong women leaders from Fort Collins. So unlike you, I'm following on the standing on the shoulders of great women before me and role models. I remember when I was about 6, I said, Mom, what's that? She said, that's a yard sign. Mabel Preble's running for mayor. I said, oh, girls can be mayors. Put that in the back of my mind. But I think this is why I'm so firmly rooted in democracy and participation as well, because democracy is a great equalizer. You know, we all have the same vote. So I was ag chair at the Capitol, and my counterpart in the Senate was a big, tall ag guy. And, you know, I'm 5 foot tall, and people are like, does that bother you? I go, not a bit. We got the same vote. Well, he overtalks you, interrupts you, dominates you, no, right? So let him overtalk me, interrupt me, whatever. Like, you know, those are the things that democracy gives us that we should never let go, and we always need to nurture. And to follow on your point, I didn't think it was a big deal. You just go in, you start being mayor. And the first executive session we had was a big, long board room. And I get there and I just sat down and the whole room was quiet. And I was like, why is everyone quiet? Somebody tell me what I did wrong right now, please, please. No one say anything. I said, what's wrong? And they're like, the mayor sits at the head of the table. And I said, well, not this mayor. Let's just start the meeting. But there is that expectation that I'm not clued into, which is fine because I don't need to clue into it because now I'm the mayor and I'll just sit on the side of the table. I'm not threatened by this. It's fine. Plus, if I just need a stool because my feet keep sort of dangling, that would be good. I get kind of, I'm going to pop it up a little bit. But so those have been my experiences. And then when I served at the State House for 4 terms, almost, there was three of the speakers were women. And the other speaker was a man who's here today, Alec Garnett. So it was a pleasure to serve under a man and 3 women. But Colorado has a long tradition of women, but we've never had a female governor. I will point that out.
Well, please join me in thanking Mayor Gondek, Mayor Arndt, Mayor Lopez for an inspiring conversation. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you to our fabulous mayors, Dr. Jackson. We are so honored for you to kick off the City Summit here on this stage. It's a true honor, and to set right what we're hoping future stages during the City Summit of Americas will look like. I have a long list of thank yous, and I know this has been a long lunch, so bear with me, but it's important, and we have a lot of gratitude up here. I want to thank all of our sponsors and partners. Thank you, Mayor Gondek, for acknowledging our private sector partners and for the fabulous partnership we need to have to ensure that events like this and the City Summit take place. We're excited to be working with you and excited to continue this work as it relates to connecting the Americas. I want to thank our fabulous performers, Zoe, Naoma, Cleo Parker, Ana Maria for the beautiful centerpieces as art. If you aren't traveling and the centerpieces have taken your heart, you can take one home, so don't fight at your tables, please. Thank you to the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, to Samantha and Mitzi, and our fabulous lunch from the Catering by Occasions. Mitzi also female-owned, Samantha representing, the female there. And then we have small gift bags for you, and I just want to tell, they're just little. We know many of you are traveling, but they are 2 caramels by a mother-daughter duo in Paonia, Colorado, and the T-Spot from Boulder, Colorado, also female-owned. I want to thank our fabulous biennial team, our volunteers, and our board. Huge thanks to Mariana. This was her baby, and it was fabulous. And I have one more very big thing to tell you all about. Those gifts were from Caravana Americana. There is 25 amazing Latin American fashion designers, many of them women, here in Colorado. My jewelry's from there as well. And that is over at Fabrica de Arte America. You already heard about Sandra and her fabulous arts and curation and the programming that's taking place at Fabrica. We will open it today, open through Saturday with performances, so please join us. It's right across the street from the convention center, and your goodie bags have some information on that. And not everybody at the City Summit gets a pin, so we hope you wear those because it means you were here with us today. Thank you all so much. We're so grateful.